Hello and welcome to not an evening with Nirvana, but something else entirely. I've got a bit of an announcement to make, and I'm not going to beat around the bush or dilly-dally or do any kind of stalling by repeating various synonyms for stalling. I feel like I've never done one of these announcements before, and I don't know whether I'm supposed to like come at you guys with like the stoicism of a I don't know, some sort of military personnel that's giving horrible news to a partner who's been waiting for their significant other to come home from the war. But I'm just gonna come out and say that the most recent episode of An Evening with Nirvana will be the last one for the foreseeable future. Devastating, I know, but there are a few reasons. Firstly, as I sort of mentioned a little bit on my YouTube and Twitter and stuff, I got a new full-time job, so it's kind of demanding. I was like freelancing before, so I had a bit of extra time to spend on the podcast. However, my week is like pretty jammed up now, thanks to my old arch nemesis capitalism. And it turns out that doing like an interview style podcast is fairly time consuming. The process was basically like, got to find a guest that I wanted, then, asking them, scheduling the interview. Then there was research to see what work they'd done, skimming through like the Doom Wiki and forum posts and all this kind of crap. And then I'd usually break that down into what I considered to be their more major works or like things I found particularly interesting. And then I had to go and like start playing everything, which could take a long time if they'd like... A lot of community members have been in the community for like decades, so sometimes I'd be playing a lot of WODs, let me just say. And I wouldn't necessarily play them, like I wouldn't play them start to finish 100%. Oftentimes also, because if I hadn't played it, I didn't want to ruin it for myself, so I might just sort of skim through, if you will. But it still took a while usually. And then, there's obviously doing the actual interview. Like I'd have to sit down and write out all the questions, which they're usually around like 30 or so. And I'd have like extra questions in case we went short, and like notes about which ones were sort of removable if it went too long. Then I'd do the interview, and obviously after that would be the editing, posting, which I would do a day early for patrons, which could be, that was difficult if, like working full time, if I had to post it up on the Saturday, because I'm working full time, I usually have to record it on the Saturday and then do all the editing on the same day and then and then post it up, and then the next day I'd have to post it up again and do all the stuff for Spotify and blah blah blah. There was a lot more to it than I expected, I think. So as much as like I enjoyed it, finding the time and energy for it, like while working full time, bit of a challenge. I'm also just at the point now where like I'm 40 episodes in, which is 40 weeks of guests. So I've been doing the podcast for 40 weeks, which is quite a lot. I think I missed 1 week, which was when I started my job. And I think I couldn't get a guest, like a guest cancelled, I had to change their time or something. So yeah, there was 1 week I missed, but for the most part I've been pretty consistent. And I had a list, like an initial list of people that I wanted to talk to. And I pretty much talked to everybody on that list. And anybody else who I've contacted, like they either haven't responded or, they said they weren't interested in doing an interview. Which is totally fine, obviously, like their prerogative to to not want to do the interview. But essentially, I've talked to most of the people that I want to talk to. There are a few people who I would definitely, bring the show back and do it for. And, like, obviously, this, like, it's not a 100% the show's gone forever thing. Like, there are definitely instances in which I would sort of still do an interview now and then. But it's not going to be a consistent week-to-week thing. But yeah, basically, if there's an important Doom person I haven't spoken to, I've probably reached out to them. And one of those sort of two things has happened. They've either not wanted to come on or they just haven't responded. So, I did try. So anyway, with all of that said, I know like some people are going to be a bit disappointed. And this podcast is likely like why you've subbed to the channel or even subscribed on Patreon, which I'm super grateful for, by the way. Like, really vindicating, obviously, to see that people are willing to sort of give up hard-earned money for a project that I've worked on. But, you know, if you feel like you're just here for that show and now it's over, you're going to head out, that's totally cool. Thanks for listening for all that time, and I appreciate you a lot. But, and this is a pretty big but, I do have a secondary announcement that may interest people. I am going to continue to podcast. So basically I got like really good feedback on one of the episodes of An Evening with Nirvana, and it got me thinking that this person would be a lot of fun to collaborate with. And I guess with that said, I'd like to announce a new podcast that I'll be starting with So Bad. It's called When Does It Get Fun? ? Optional. I feel like we haven't actually discussed that yet overall. But, because, you know, the punctuation for the title, it's important. It's an important aspect of it. Anyway, we're basically going to be, like, we'll talk about Doom, obviously, since that's a shared interest of ours. It'll definitely come up a lot. But we're also going to talk about game development in general, you know, gaming topics, things like that. So Bad has a lot of experience with game dev, and I have some experience with, like, mod making in the past, obviously, and also Doom, which you guys might have heard about. But, you know, essentially it'll be a bit more conversational. There'll be like a wider scope in terms of topics, so it won't just be limited to Doom. We probably will have some guests on here and there, so, you know, there will be some familiar faces popping up from the Doom community, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I've already talked to like 1 or 2 people, and they're already interested to come on, so, you know, you'll definitely be still hearing from people in that sphere for sure. And maybe some actual guests from outside the Doom community, which Mount Payne really ribbed me on when he had me on to talk with him at Doom Kid, but maybe in this instance it will actually happen. But yeah, basically, you know, the show, it'll have 2 of us working on it. There won't be as much like scheduling and research and things like that behind it. Like, the looser format's probably going to make it a lot easier for me to manage. Still pretty much going to be audio only is what we're aiming for. And So Bad's like bringing a lot to the table, so I'm excited for that, and we have some really, really fun ideas brewing. So yeah, that's that. 2 major announcements. Get pumped up for that podcast. I think it's going to be really fun. It'll start in a couple of weeks from now. And there's going to be a huge premiere, obviously, with lots of celebrities like Danny DeVito et al. We'll look forward to that. It'll probably be on your local television set. Go down to the local TV store and watch it on the TVs through the window, if it's, you know, the 1950s where you are. Anyway, I'm also going to try and, you know, like, do actual video content for the channel. You know, it's definitely something I want to keep doing, whether it's like gaming content or Doom related tutorials or, you know, whatever. I do have like plans for that, but it'll just be a case of when I find the time to do it. But yeah, thank you so much to the Patreons who supported me. I feel very thankful that people have done that. It's super cool. Also, if you are a patron currently, then basically I'm just going to make it so that whatever benefits you were getting that were to do with An Evening with Nirvana, like getting the podcast early, that's instead going to apply to When Does It Get Fun? My podcast was So Bad, so you don't have to worry about sort of losing stuff if you are there for, you know, the features of being a patron or anything. So yeah, that will all still apply. And a massive thank you to everyone who watches my content or listens to the podcast. Love hearing about, you know, people listening to it while they undertake daily tasks like commuting to work or doing laundry. I wrote laundry instead of laundry here, so I was just laughing in my head a little bit about that. I thought you guys might want to know that I accidentally wrote Laundy. But yeah, I mean, it makes me like exceedingly happy that I have made something that like takes the edge off the mundane aspects of life a little bit. I think that's really great. It's what I use podcasts for. So like, I really love hearing that people have used sort of my content for the same thing. And I hope this new podcast is going to do the same. I think it will. I think it'll be all the better for having So Bad there consistently. He's a great guy, very funny guy. And he's Canadian, so very polite man as well. Also, thanks to, anyone who's ever played one of my maps too. Pretty cool. Thought I'd just add that in there, because that also makes me very happy. But I am definitely rambling at this point. I really did just want to sort of throw a lot of praise at you all, partially out of, genuine love for you, and partially to take away the sting of the podcast going away. Little bit of psychology there, but not really. Anyway, goodbye, and I'll see you soon for more podcast things. That's gonna be great with So Bad, so look forward to that. Got mapping projects on the horizon. The way my work life is structured, mapping might actually be something I can do at certain times, so I might actually finish some projects, so look forward to that sometime in the future. But yeah, when does it get fun? It's coming soon to a theater near you, probably. Whatever, goodbye. Also, big old shout out to Pickstrift, still the ultimate doom god of the group. So yeah, thank you Pickstrift once again. Great job.